Hello, it's Mrs. Ward, and we're going to do chapter 15 today. So, if you remember at the end of chapter 14, Ricky had just seen Soledad, and it looked like something had happened to her, like maybe somebody hurt her. So, we're going to find out about that. So, chapter 15. What happened? Ricky exclaimed. Soledad hid her face. He hit me. He said I'm no good. Who, Soledad? Who hit you? Me, Papa, she sobbed, her breath jerking. Your father? Ricky exclaimed. I didn't know you had any family. Aren't you a ratera? I am not a rat. Her eyes showed deep hurt. You don't think I'm any good either. No, Soledad. I thought you were un vaga. I'm not a vagrant. Why do you think these things about me? She sat, trembling. Ricky watched her. The dim light outlined her stooped body and hunched shoulders. This was not the mischievous Soledad he'd known for 2 days, nor was this the stunning lady from his dream. Her voice cracked. I think he's right. I'm no good. That's why he hits me. She shivered, her arms wrapped tightly around her sides. Ricky peeled off the agent's coat and draped it over her shoulders. Here, maybe you should sit down. He motioned toward the back seat. The huge jacket hung on Soledad like a tent. She crawled in and flopped face down. Are you all right? No, she pounded the seat. Then she pressed her small fist to her cheek, muffling her sobs. No, Papa is right. I'm no good. Sometimes I think I'll die from being no good. Awkwardly, Ricky reached for one of her hands. Don't say that. Think about when you were happy. It helps me when I'm sad. He didn't tell her how very often that was. I'm never happy. Her voice was barely a whisper. I was dreaming about you before I woke up, Ricky said. Hearing silence, he continued. I dreamed you were a queen, sitting on a big white stallion. You were beside an Aztec king. The people all whispered about how pretty you were. What people? She whimpered. A whole bunch of people in a big courtyard. You have loco dreams, she grumped, but she looked up. I'm not loco. I've seen you help your cousin Santos. Look how you've helped me. Lots of people don't do things like that. Ricky pointed at her heart. That's what makes you pretty. What's that? She pouted. My belly? No, silly, your heart. That's where your heritage is. Ricky wished he didn't sound so much like his dad. What's heritage? It's what's really you, all the good of the Aztecs and Mayans, other people like the Toltecs and the Mixtecs. They're your brothers and sisters, even if they lived a long time ago. You come from great people. They were brave, and so are you. I know, because I've watched you. Soledad's sobs faltered as she listened to his words. He grew bolder. Yes, he said, Montezuma, he's inside of you. He helped you throw that rock at the chef. He helped you give Santos food. Tonight, when I saw you on the white stallion beside the throne, you were real pretty. You still are. I think you've been drinking tequila like me, Papa, she muttered. Shh, you are pretty. Nobody can take away what's inside of you. I rode a great white stallion once, she blurted. You did? See. She rolled over and rubbed her wet cheeks with the back of her fists. He wasn't white, but I think maybe his left ear was white. See, his left ear was white. Where did you ride a stallion? She scratched her leg. One night the circus was in Mariposa. I didn't have money, so I went behind the tent and jumped on the donkey. A donkey? See, a really nice donkey with a white ear. Her voice grew proud, like in your dream. Ricky nodded. You say nice things, she whispered, yawning. Say more. Many great people are inside of you. They make you a great person, Soledad. People are inside of me? She interrupted with disbelief. Ricky grinned and pointed to her head. They're in your memories and in your heart, lots of them. Remember them. Don't ever forget. Soledad relaxed. Say more. Her breath softened, growing deep and regular. Ricky no longer knew what he believed. It was as if he were talking in a daze. As for Soledad, she shouldn't have to live the way she lived. He continued. Feel them, Soledad. Feel them. They were brave and good people. They help you and touch everything you do. They're your heritage. Be proud of them. Be proud of yourself. Ricky paused and tucked the jacket closer around her shoulders. Soledad had fallen sound asleep. He looked down at the huddled girl. Deliberately, he bent over and placed a gentle kiss on her cheek. Then quietly, he crawled over into the front. Thoughts muddled in his mind. Why had he kissed her? Did he really believe the stuff he'd said? Shivering, he stretched out on the rotted and torn seat. Tomorrow he would go to Rancho Camacho. Early, before first light, he'd sneak in. But first, a long and cold night lay ahead. He feared it. Goosebumps covered his bare arms. He changed positions and a spring poked him. Ricky did not have to worry about oversleeping. All night he twisted and shivered and tried to bury his bare arms deeper into the rough and torn seat. Before the first sign of daybreak, he sat up. He looked back at Soledad, fast asleep. According to his plan, he should be headed for Rancho Camacho now, but he couldn't leave until he was sure his friend would be okay. Frustrated, he leaned against the closed door and hugged his knees tight to his chest, waiting. Never before had he been this cold. A thought bumped into his head. How cold had Soledad's cousin Santos been last night? The boy didn't even have a shirt. Did he ever quit shivering? The question haunted Ricky. Recalling his words to Soledad, Ricky felt embarrassed. Was everything he had said to calm her down just a bunch of blabber? Cripes, he'd carried on worse than Dad. His thoughts of Dad right now were good ones. He would give anything to have him here. There were so many questions in his mind. What about the dream, about Mom, the airplane, and the guard with the gun? Why did the DEA agent have the picture with Sparrowhawk written on the bottom? The questions confused Ricky, and he ended up gazing out of the broken windows, not thinking at all, just waiting for the first light of day to streak the sky. If he made it home, he'd never complain about the heat again. The air grew colder even as a red glow melted bright across the horizon. Ricky waited, shivering. Was it possible to get so cold you never warmed up? Again, he thought of Santos. Soledad stirred. Grunting with surprise, she rolled over and looked up. Her bruised eye had swollen closed. Dried blood caked the edge of her mouth. Gingerly, she fingered her eye and mouth, wincing. Then her bruised lips parted in a smile. I bet I don't look like a queen now, she said. Morning, Ricky said wearily. Soledad squirmed upright on the seat. She held out Dexter Crumb's red jacket, an embarrassed look on her face. You look cold. I'm okay, Ricky said. See, and when you die from the cold, I'll tell everybody you're okay. She draped the coat over the seat. Thanks, Ricky said, squirming into the coat. He hugged his arms to his body and wallowed in the warmth. Why did you help me last night? Soledad asked. Ricky shrugged. What was I supposed to do? Chase you away? See, that's what people usually do. You need help. You needed help, Ricky said. Then, not considering his words, he continued, Soledad, you said last night your father beat you? She nodded, her eyes big and curious. I didn't know you had a family. See, everybody has a family. How can you be born without a mama? You have a mama, no? Ricky shook his head. She's dead. He continued quickly. What I mean is, I didn't know you had a place to stay. Once more, Soledad looked down uncomfortably. I can go home if my papa has not been drinking, but last night he drank lots of tequila. Why did he hit you? He said I didn't bring home enough food and money. For who? I have 5 brothers and 3 sisters. Pedro, Enrique, and Maria are younger than me. I have to bring them food each day or they don't eat. Well, what does your dad do? Doesn't he work? Sometimes, to pay for his tequila. Mama knits, but she's sick. Soledad looked down sadly. I think she's going to die. Mothers should never die, Ricky said stubbornly. Is she in the hospital? There's no money for that. Only rich people can go to hospitals. This is too weird. You mean you got a family and a home but still have to go around and beg? How else can I get food? Does yours fall from the sky? Ricky faced Soledad. I got an idea. Why don't you come with me? Where? Ricky jumped out of the car and leaned in her window. He stammered with excitement. I can't explain everything, but I'm from the United States. If I can steal an airplane from Rancho Camacho, it will stop them smuggling drugs. Why don't you come home with me if you're not afraid of flying? You talk loco. You're not from the United States. You're like me. You can't fly an airplane. Now that Ricky had let the cat out of the bag, he nodded excitedly. Yes, I can. Back home we have a biplane. I've even done a loop. He motioned in a big circle. He didn't tell her he had waffled one alone. Do you feel okay? Maybe you got too cold. She crawled from the car with a worried look. I'll go get you food. Really, Soledad, I only dress like this so I could get close to the airplane. That's why I have gringo feet. I can talk Spanish because my father makes me, but I usually talk English. Ricky spewed out several sentences in English. See? You don't fly airplanes, she insisted, twisting nervously in her dress. It doesn't matter anyway. I can't go with you. My big brothers and sisters live in Mexico City. They went there to find work. I have to stay and take care of Pedro, Enrique, and Maria. And who would take care of Mama? She'll die without me. Soledad's eyes softened with glassy tears. Maybe she'll die anyway. What's wrong with her? She gets real hot and sweats. A man at the market told me that the hospital could help Mama, but that costs too much. Last night I gave her the money from the turista. She said it's not enough. Soledad looked down. Mama said I shouldn't steal. Ricky considered Soledad's words. He knew how it hurt to lose a mother. But what would it be like to watch his mom get more and more sick and not be able to help? That was almost worse. Ricky made up his mind. It wouldn't bring Mom back, but maybe he could help somebody else's mother. "Soledad, how much money does your mother need?" he asked. "Lots." Would this help? He pulled out the agent's leather badge holder and withdrew the $300 bills, and the single 20. Soledad's eyes grew big and she gaped at the money. "This was in the jacket. I didn't tell you about it because it isn't mine, but I'll work this summer to pay it back." "Pay it back? To who? You don't even know the man." "Yes, I do. He's a DEA agent. He's down here trying to find me." Soledad shook her head in disbelief, still eyeing the money. "You'd do this for me?" Ricky nodded. "And for your mother." Grabbing the bills from Ricky's hand, Soledad threw her arms around him, hugging him hard and urgently. When she let go, she stared once more at the bills. "Keep this." She shoved the $20 bill back into his hand before he could protest. "I still don't think you're from the United States," she said resolutely. Ricky pulled out the leather badge holder again. "Look, Soledad." He handed her the picture. "The man that shoved you really was a DEA agent." Ricky showed her the badge. "He had my picture. Why would he have my picture if he wasn't looking for me?" Soledad stared at the picture and fingered the badge. Doubt filled her eyes. "Honest, he's looking for me. This isn't how I normally look. That's me." Ricky pointed at the photograph. "See, that's me." "Why are the men looking for you?" "That's a long story, but I can't let him catch me." Once more, she stared in awe at the money in her hand, then back at the picture. "What does this say?" She pointed to the bottom of the picture. "Sparrowhawk. That's a small bird. I don't know who wrote that or why, but I didn't have the picture with me when I came here. Really." "I know. You do? I looked through your pockets while you were sleeping." Ricky started to speak and then stopped. "Maybe you are loco, maybe not," she said. "Last night you said lots of nice things. You don't talk like us." "Listen, Soledad, somehow I have to get to the airplane. I had planned on sneaking in this morning before daylight, but I wanted to know if you were all right." She nodded. "I'm okay, but you can't go to Rancho Camacho. They won't let you in. Here." She handed the picture back, a troubled look on her face. "No, you keep it, but don't show anyone, okay?" She glanced warmly at the picture and then stuffed it into her dress. "Don't show anyone, okay?" She nodded. The sun gleamed across the adobe town. Ricky squinted and tugged idly on the door handle. "Maybe I can sneak into Rancho Camacho during the day." "No one can sneak in," she said firmly. "You have to go through the gate." "I tried that," Ricky said, "and they shot at me." Soledad toyed with the money and fingered the twine wrap around her waist. "They don't shoot the taco runner." And that's the end of chapter 15. So we're going to find out Soledad's plan for getting in. All right, I'll see you for chapter 16.